find that there are Bible-believing Christians
Come on
that
in.
have been duped. They think it's their job to support a nation that wasn't founded by God,
Come
a
on in.
religion that is anti-Christian, anti-Christ, and just about anti-every other religion in the world. I am a Bible-believing Christian, and I want to show you in this video, first of all, what the Bible says about the Jews. I want you to understand the truth. But first I have to obviously set the stage, because if anytime you talk about the Jews and you're not one, if you don't support the Zionistic wars, then they're going to call you an anti-Semite. I am not a racist. God is not a racist. The Bible does not support racism at all. He made all nations of one blood, and we need to love both Muslims and Jews by giving them the gospel so that they can be saved. And I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of this video also. Now, first of all, again, I want to look at the Word of God, and I want to show you what it says. And let me pull this up in 2 Kings 16. This is the first mention of the word Jews, and I'll show you and then show you in context. Verse 6, it says, at that time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria, drave the Jews from Elath. The Syrians came to Elath and dwelt there unto this day. So let's back up and see exactly who we're talking about here. In the 7th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. Okay, so king of Judah here, over the tribe of Judah, in the region of Judah. Mind you, now they
Hey, y'all, come on in. Let's talk.
From
Let's
Israel.
hear Candace.
This is an important
We're going to cut this
historical
off.
fact. Let me just show you here. Here is a map of when King...
Let's hear. I got quite a couple of you coming on later today. My lineup. But this is a few months old here. And it talks about her cult history. Hey, Crystal. How you doing? I hope you had a great weekend. I hope we all had a great weekend. Who else? Hold on. I don't know if I like this lighting. Let's go ahead and go in. I got some already set up, I think, for about 6. Let's go.
All right, guys, we are back after a tremendous episode yesterday. Unbelievable. I think we're going to actually cross 1 million views in less than 24 hours, which
Way
is
to go.
just impressive. Impressive mostly because I think the majority of people have this perception that the public is too stupid or lacks substance to deal with complex issues. They think that everybody is just so surface. And so a lot of times in media, you're encouraged not to talk about anything of substance, like just be outraged at the Olympics and say, oh, what's going on, blah, 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 and don't get any deeper than that. And I went deeper yesterday because I felt that it was the right moment, and I very much trust my audience, and now I realize that there is so much that, just like me, a couple of years ago, I didn't know a lot of this stuff, and then I did the research, and then I wanted to know all of it. I see that you guys have that exact same yearning, and so today, I'm not going to let you down. We are going to continue that most important discussion, so welcome back to Candace. I would probably say that within my life, telling the truth has always come very easily to me. In fact, I think I've always sort of demanded to have an honest discussion. Even from the time that I was a small child, I get that question all the time from people. You know, how did you learn how to public speak? Where do you get the confidence? And especially now that I have 3 kids, you can just see that everyone's wired in a different way when they're born. And I was just wired to want to know the truth without being fooled into it in any capacity. So I guess an example of this would just be my parents would always say that they had to sort of close the door and laugh when I was a toddler because I was constantly asking them questions like I was just this precocious child, and I feel like I was always looking out for my sisters in the same capacity, like telling them that this adult couldn't be trusted, or they weren't telling us the truth over something that probably was completely meaningless. But I think it just spoke to my natural character. And so when I got into politics and I recognized that the same thing was happening, that people were reaching this level of popularity where they suddenly felt that they just wanted to stay comfortable and they were no longer reaching to reveal the truth to their audiences, it was a tremendous letdown for me. Genuinely, it was a tremendous letdown for me. And so yesterday's episode didn't come without thought. It was a discussion rather that I was having with my family, with my sisters, with my husband, when I started stumbling upon deeper and deeper truth, and much of it just being so obscured from the public. Should we bring this forward? Do we want to be the people that bring this forward? Do we want to be the people that put our lives at risk, that put our reputation at risk? And I just know that there has been a lot that's been happening in the world, but I felt very much that the signs were there, that the public was ready, and that I was ready to sort of deliver this information. And so I want to jump right back into that discussion that we were having, really about spiritualism. And I'm going to use not a current event, but a recent current event that happened a couple of years ago. You will remember this because I think it might have been the craziest moment from 2022. So Kyrie Irving, at the time, he still might be a basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets, tweeted a link to a documentary, absent commentary. He didn't tweet this and say, I agree with this. He didn't tweet this and say, I disagree with this. He just tweeted a link to a readily available documentary that was on Amazon, and he said nothing. And the next thing you knew, he was a mainstream story, and he was at risk of losing his job as a basketball player. And the title of the documentary was From Hebrews, to Negroes. And if he had just tweeted it and the media didn't react with such insanity, probably no one would have watched it. I'm serious. It was a nothing thing, but they made such a big deal out of it that I remember watching the situation go down and going, okay, what is in this documentary that people are freaking out so much that the NBA has given him, you'll recall this, a list of 6 demands, a list of 6 action items that he must complete in order to return to the franchise, okay? Absurd. Do you remember this headline that was going on? This is what Kyrie Irving must do to get his life back for having tweeted out a link to a documentary that's available on Amazon. Not Jeff Bezos, but Kyrie Irving is at fault. Not Jeff Bezos for making it readily available on Amazon. The first set of things that he had to do, the first thing he had to do was he had to issue an apology for posting a link to the movie, condemn the harmful and false content, and make it clear that he does not have anti-Jewish beliefs. Secondly, he had to complete the anti-hate causes that the Irving and the Nets and the ADL, I'll keep that topic, we're going to talk about more about the ADL today, agreed upon in their joint release, which included a $500,000 donation toward causes and organizations that work to eradicate hate and intolerance in communities. He was then told he had to complete sensitivity training created by the Nets. He was then told he had to complete anti-Semitic, anti-hate training designed by the Nets, and meet with representatives from the ADL as well as Jewish community leaders in Brooklyn. And the last one was after completing steps 1 through 5, he had to meet with the owner of the Nets, Joe Tsai, and lead franchise officials and demonstrate the lessons that he learned. Okay, so this was just like a whipping, a public whipping. It made entirely no sense, and I don't think he actually ended up doing any of that because then there was outrage and outcry, rightfully so, from the black community going, what are you doing right now? What did he do that was so wrong? And of course, because of the way my brain works, when I see the media overreact, I just go, what's in this documentary? I mean, I think that's called the Streisand effect. Like when you go so crazy about something that people wouldn't have noticed, then suddenly go, okay, well, what am I not supposed to see in this documentary? And I, of course, instantly watched it. And it was, by the way, very poorly put together, which is why it made it even crazier. It seems like a very budget film that was put together. It looks almost like a PowerPoint, to be honest. And I remember watching this going, how could this documentary have caused this much craziness in the media? And then I realized that the point of the documentary that it was making that upset, and this is why the ADL got involved, was the documentary makers, that is, were alleging that the current Jewish people that are in Israel are not, in fact, biblical Jews, and instead that the people that were brought over in the transatlantic slave trade from Africa to America were the original Hebrews, okay? So, parking aside whether or not you agree with that, I have obviously no idea. How strange is it that that would cause that sort of a reaction? I mean, we live in a time where a man can say he's a woman and a woman can say that she's a man. You can quite literally wake up and pick your gender and pick your species, and people will be affectionate towards you. They feel so bad for you. They have sympathy. It's like we must do more to support these communities. They're not confused as who they are on the inside.
Turn your vessel into a sport fishing powerhouse with a new Recon trolling motor. Stay locked in place while you fish and make adjustments from anywhere on board. Take power over water with the Recon saltwater trolling motor from Simrad.
What's up, guys? Russ here. I'm super excited to tell you guys about the new movie, Sarah's Oil.
God,
Hey,
hey,
Jenna.
that land for a reason.
It's a sign. But for Kyrie Irving, there was no grace. It was like, no, this is so wrong, and you're going to lose your. And this is why the ADL got involved. Was the documentary makers, that is, were alleging that the current Jewish people that are in Israel are not in fact biblical Jews, and instead that the people that were brought over in the transatlantic slave trade from Africa to America.
Wait a minute.
I'm supposed to see in this documentary, and I, of course, instantly watched it. And it was, by the way, very poorly put together, which is why it made it even crazier. It seems like a very budget film that was put together. It looks almost like a PowerPoint, to be honest. And I remember watching this going, how could this documentary have caused this much craziness in the media? And then I realized that the point of the documentary that it was making that upset, and this is why the ADL got involved, was the documentary makers, that is, were alleging that the current Jewish people that are in Israel are not in fact biblical Jews, and instead that the people that were brought over in the transatlantic slave trade from Africa to America were the original Hebrews, okay? So parking aside whether or not you agree with that, I have obviously no idea. How strange is it that that would cause that sort of a reaction?
Oh,
We live in
yeah.
a time
It
where
blows
a
my
man
mind,
can
too.
say he's a woman and a woman can say that she's a man. You can quite literally wake up and pick your gender and pick your species, and people will be affectionate towards you. They feel so bad for you. They have sympathy. It's like we must do more to support these communities. They're not confused as who they are on the inside. But for Kyrie Irving, there was no grace. It was like, no, this is so wrong, and you're going to lose your entire life for even exploring that idea. What it led me to think was,
The cover up is real.
it is quite sad when you consider that so many of us have no idea where we come from. Like, that to me was the bigger point, that there are so many people
And
on
they
this
don't want
planet
you to
who
know
have
that they
no
be
idea
lying.
where they come from. I'm one of them. I can't go back beyond a couple of generations, and the reason for that is because of war, it's because of slavery, it's because of large human trafficking efforts that take place. And typically
And it's because they don't want you to know the truth. They intentionally removed it, whitewashed it. So the real question is why? Why are they so sensitive? They lie all the time. So let's just hypothetically say we did not believe what they have been pushing down people's throat for years. They lie all the time. But when the truth surfaces, they panic. Why? What if he thought that was his opinion? Why is that? I need to pay a fine. Why is that a fine offense? Why is that so detrimental to you? That's the question. Well, let's go.
it's because, well, how does it happen? Because you should know. We should be able to say exactly which tribe we all came from in the Bible, because you would just think your relative then tells their descendant and tells their descendant and tells their descendant forever. And we could just look at our family history and go, yeah, my great, all the way going back Bible, this was us. But we can't do that because you have situations where like a bomb is dropped, and like one kid survives. It doesn't even have a memory
Hey, Brian.
his father or his mother, the people that were separated, as African Americans were when they were first brought over from Africa, Black Americans, separated from their families, being traded all across, quite literally no memory. I mean, I have part in my family. My grandfather's grandmother was fully Native American. I wish I could learn more about the Cherokee Native Americans, and her given name, because they made them change their names in North Carolina, was like Eliza, my grandfather's grandmother. I know nothing about her. And there's something about that that's spiritually very wrong. And like I said, everybody across the world has gone through this. There's something that puts us in a very vulnerable state when we don't know where we come from. Now, why am I saying this to you? I want to show you this clip that I saw circling on Instagram from a guy named Manly P. Hall. I don't think he's alive anymore. He was a Canadian author, a lecturer, and an astrologer. And he said something that I thought was of quite a lot of substance. Take a listen to it.
The average person who goes to school has no idea why humanity exists. He has no idea concerning a spiritual fracture in material existence. He has no general comprehension of the rules of life as these differ from the rules of social and political structures. He does not know where he came from. He does not know why he is here, and he has no idea where he's going. And on this compound ignorance, we offer degrees and make brilliant scholars out of people who have never answered any of those questions. It is one of these amazing things that we have created a great hierarchy of well-lettered ignorance. We have made everything subservient not to wisdom, but to the passing advantages of the hour.
Bad news. Your business is only using 20% of its data. The other 80%, it's all around you, and everyone's searching for it.
If you don't know where you came from, you know nothing. I mean, that's the reality. When he says that we parked aside wisdom and replaced it with something else, that is the truth. That is what comes from ancestry. There is a certain wisdom that comes from ancestry, which is why it becomes important to understand, well, if we don't know history, we know nothing, everything is becoming an ever-present. What if there was a group of people who could quite literally, knowing every single name, trace, or maybe there's more than one group of people who can do this, straight back to the Bible? That would be so impressive, and they would have so many answers, and they would truly have a leg up in life. And this was something that also crossed my mind, by the way, when Vladimir Putin sat down with Tucker Carlson, and one of my friends, Mike Cernovich, tweeted this mass media freak out. They did not want Americans to hear what Vladimir Putin had to say. And he starts out with this, in the 7th century. And then he starts walking through Russian history, like literally started beginning in the 7th century. And Mike Cernovich remarked that Americans have no concept of these blood feuds that could quite literally be dating all the way back to 7th century. Like what he is describing, Vladimir Putin, that is, between Ukraine and Russia, he is saying is something that began in the 7th century. That is quite impressive. Again, not something that Americans could quite imagine, least of all when so much of our education is fake, right? Let's talk about Wikipedia as just one example. Wikipedia virtually exists not to actually tell you anything historically, but to obscure things historically. By like the slight removal of certain facts, they are able to realize that most people don't have a memory of things that have happened, let's call it even 50 years ago. And all they have to do is keep updating entries and wipe away a few things. And they can give you an entirely new narrative. And it has been long understood that the ADL has been effectively running, that's why I bring up the ADL again, handing Kyrie these demands. They've been running Wikipedia so much that now Wikipedia finds it offensive. So this is a recent article in Haaretz, that's an Israel-based newspaper, where they are saying the ADL faces a Wikipedia ban over reliability concerns on Israel and anti-Semitism. The ADL no longer appears to adhere to a serious mainstream and intellectually cogent definition of anti-Semitism. So what they're basically saying is like they're just putting their feelings in there, and they're saying a lot of stuff. But I think it's funny that the Wikipedia is saying that just recently happened. No, it's always been that way, and I gave you that example yesterday. If we knew the history of the ADL, if we could learn that on Wikipedia, no one would support the ADL, because the ADL, factually speaking, was founded to protect a pedophile named Leo Frank. This is very relevant. And by the way, I had a wonderful discussion yesterday with this Jewish PhD, a professor named and a writer named David Bashfikin on Twitter, because he heard about my episode talking about Sabbateanism, and I guess he assumed that I was going to say, like, this is what Jews worship, and I was actually saying the exact opposite. So I messaged him privately on Twitter, and we had this wonderful back forth speaking about how Jewish people and Christians actually need to unite and to do the research and to root out these satanic people that have infiltrated both of our faiths, including the Muslim, the Islamic faith as well. There has been an infiltration, and so we were having this back forth, and I was talking to him, speaking to him about these Frankists and how they literally came to America, and the evidence of that is everywhere. And particularly, yes, this is how the ADL was born. They were born of B'nai B'rith. B'nai B'rith was this Freemason chapter that was based in Atlanta, and Leo Frank was the president of that chapter. He was incredibly wealthy. He ran a local pencil factory. During Passover of 1913, he viciously raped and murdered a young Catholic girl named Mary Fagan. Okay? Now, this I am bringing up again because this is something that if you are Jewish and you're interested in history, this is something that you could read a book on, and I think that it would plant a seed for you. That there are people that are purporting to be Jewish that are lying to you about things that have happened historically and getting you to defend these horrific people, like Leo Frank was a horrific person, on this false idea that what happened to Leo Frank was evidence of anti-Semitism. In fact, there's no evidence when you actually read the facts of this case that anything that happened to him was anti-Semitic. And yet, if you look up this entry on the Leo Frank case on Wikipedia, again, the ADL has controlled it forever, they are still trying to shift the blame of this horrific murder, which I believe was a ritualistic murder that took place because I believe that he was a Frankist. He descended from Jacob Frank. They are still trying to sell to the public that it's plausible that the black janitor did it. That is explicitly racist. Okay?
Absolutely.
You have to be a moron, and I'm saying this with love in my heart, to
what color was the little girl?
That in 1913, Atlanta, okay, in the segregated South,
wait a minute now.
That the judicial system decided to collude, right, to protect a black janitor, a poor black janitor who raped and killed a white girl. Like, that is just, it never happened, and yet the ADL is still trying to sell it. Because when you get into this case, you recognize that they are an evil organization, and it's terrifying to think
we
that
found
this
that out
evil
today, baby.
organization, who in my view does not support Jewish people at all. That is not their purpose. In fact, like I said, I believe that they are a Frankist organization, as best evidenced by the fact that the ADL, right, decided to remove the Azov battalion, the ones that are carving swastikas into their bodies, the neo-Nazi Azov battalion in Ukraine. Well, they conveniently removed them
this is for
from
educational
the hit list when suddenly
educational
they wanted
purposes
to get
only.
behind the war in Ukraine. Okay, a person that would remove literal, actual, verifiable neo-Nazis that have carved swastikas into their forehead from the hate list in order to further Zelensky's purposes are probably not looking out for the best interests of the Jewish people, right? So that's just a little nugget for you guys. Look into that case and recognize that not only was Leo Frank incredibly wealthy, they were essentially running this town. Again, he was the superintendent of the factory. His wife was an unbelievably wealthy woman. There's a picture of him right there. He looks evil to me, okay, named Lucille Selig. If you think with all of that money and all of that power, and he tried to blame it on multiple people, not just this poor black janitor, but there was so much evidence. Evidence was so overwhelming that when that little girl came to pick up her paycheck, that he got her into the office, he lured her into there, raped her, and then killed her, and then tried to get the janitor to write a letter so that he could offset his crime onto a poor black man. Again, so overwhelming that you will just be like, what is going on? And there's little tidbits, of course, that are not included in the Wikipedia entry, like the fact that they hated Christians. They did.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's a fact. You can actually look at this.
All of this stuff is just crazy.
Comprehensive account of the Leo Frank case by a man named Leonard Dinerstein. And he shows this passage that Leo Frank's mother stood up and had an outburst in the middle of the hearing, referring to them as Christian dogs. Mrs. Frank, no, nor you either, you Christian dog. Conveniently missing, again, from the Wikipedia entry, because the ADL, of course, is obscuring its own history. They also were involved in a lot of criminality.
Wow.
Involvement. The FBI was looking into them, and yet today, remarkably, the ADL trains FBI agents. How could that be? How could it be that an organization that was being looked into for factually wiretapping people, that was being looked into, now suddenly they wipe their own history and they're training FBI agents? Not only that, but they share a building in Connecticut with the FBI. Does that make you comfortable, knowing what I've just told you about the ADL, that this would be happening? And obviously we got to see them flex their power when it came to TikTok. You know, Trump couldn't get it done when he signed an executive order saying, I'm worried about China, we should ban TikTok. But when the ADL wanted to do it, yeah, it took a day, a couple of phone calls, maybe some blackmail files. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's just incredible to see that people just got in line and were willing to go, yeah, no, we should definitely ban TikTok. Now, the reason why I'm speaking to you about this is twofold, because it's very important for us to understand that, again, the job is to not just delete your ancestral history via never-ending wars, moving people around, large human trafficking operations, but to also create that 1984 scenario where essentially you don't have a memory of yesterday. Everything's just become like an ever-present, right? People are not even learning how to read. The establishment of public education, federal education, the Department of Education, and now kids are getting dumber and dumber and dumber, and they're just going to tell people what to think, of course, making it so that people react emotionally and not rationally. You're not going to be able to access books. You're not going to be able to read these books. Everything is just going to be an ever-present, and the state is going to tell you what to think. They're going to enslave humanity, in my view, in this way. And one thing, and this is a big thing, by the way, so I'm really hoping that a lot of people who are Jewish are watching this as well, that struck me as really odd when I was learning about Sabbatianism, and this really shocked me to my core, because I've always told you guys I grew up with a large Jewish community. All my best friends were Jewish growing up, and I've always seen like the Star of David, that is a lot of Jewish people wear as a necklace, and I thought that was associated traditionally somehow with Judaism. And so I was very surprised. I will ask the question, do you know the history of the Star of David? Why is it being called the Star of David? And I'm just going to just show you guys this straight up on Wikipedia. So if it's on Wikipedia, basically after they've obscured everything, that just must mean that it's just such an irreversible fact, because you wouldn't even want to admit this. But this is what the entry shows you about the Star of David, because it's actually a very recent thing that has been adopted from the Jewish community. Okay, it's not something stemming from the ancient times. And this is exactly what it reads. It reads that it is a derivative of the Seal of Solomon, was used for decorative and mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. I want you to remember that, okay? So it's a derivative of the Seal of Solomon. King Solomon was used for decorative and mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. It also goes on to say that only around 1 millennium later did the star begin to be used as a symbol to identify Jewish communities, a tradition that seems to have started in Prague before the 17th century. I want you to remember that as well. And from there spread to much of Eastern Europe in the 19th century. It came to be adopted by European Jews as a symbol to represent Jewish religion or identity, in the same manner the Christian cross identified the religion's believers. The symbol became representative of the worldwide Zionist community after it was chosen as the central symbol on a flag at the first Zionist Congress in 1897. So this is a recent symbol. But I'm going to show you that.
Now, I guess every town has a flavor all its own.
There is a mention of that star. It is called something else in the Bible. It is referred to, and I'm going to just dig this up for you, something that is known as the Star of Remphin in the Bible, okay? And I'm going to show you that star right now. Here's a picture of it. Oh, you can see, if you're Jewish, you're going, oh, that's the Star of David. You can see on that left side.
Hold on, let me get it for you. Can I get y'all to hit the like button for me? Blackfoot and Cherokees in your family. Hey, all gentry. Okay, so this is the Star of David. Okay, let's go.
The star of Remphin in the Bible, okay? And I'm going to show you that star right now. Here's a picture of it. Oh, you can see if you're Jewish, you're going, oh, that's the Star of David. You can see on that left side there, by the way, that you see a goat and you see it looks like a pharaoh up top there. So you're going, okay, I don't associate this with Judaism whatsoever. And in the Bible, here's where it's mentioned. It says, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. It's also referenced later. It says, ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch and your Chian, your images, the star of your god, which ye made to yourself. So what is this referring to? It's referring to the ancient Canaanites, okay? The Canaanites were a brutal and a wicked culture. They frequently engaged in behavior that was considered obviously immoral and decadent, right? A list of the sins that Israel was told to avoid at all costs. Those sins included the Canaanites partook in incest, in child sacrifice, in homosexuality, and in
Pagan,
bestiality.
yep.
Now in your mind, you're going, okay, that
Hey,
sounds
be
familiar.
ri-
We spoke
be
about this as
rich.
well when I was telling you guys about the Khazarian kingdom, and I think somebody asked a question yesterday, like, oh, do you know about the Khazars? And I had mentioned to you that, yes, I'm very aware, by the way, because I think that is what was mentioned also in that documentary that Kyrie Irving shared, was that for a period of time, a lot of Israeli historians were writing books and receiving awards for having traced their lineage to the Khazars. A very similar story with that kingdom before it was crushed by Russia and Persia, okay? So if you're following what I'm saying to you here, essentially this star of Remphan, which is being used, it was a symbol that the Canaanites used, and it was the star of a deity in which they worshipped. And I'm going to show you that Moloch, I guess. Okay, so again, you are seeing child sacrifice, which is what is being portrayed here. I'm not sure if we have another photo of Moloch, but yeah, you know, it has long been understood. There's Baal, there's Moloch, and it's all about child sacrifice, and the goat is a known image that is associated with it. And another word for Moloch is Saturn. So this is all very interesting because you're going, okay, you have this entry. It says to you that this came from the Seal of Solomon. It had to do more with the Kabbalah. A lot of people wear it today, and they don't worship the Kabbalah. They obviously, but again, you don't really know history. You're growing up in a family. You're wearing this. You don't know history of these things, because why would you? I don't know much history about really anything. Like I said, I don't even know where my family's ancestry comes from. But I found this to be really interesting. So on Wikipedia, there's just an entry for sorcery, just the word sorcery, which they have in parentheses is also known as Goetia, okay? And it tells you that King Solomon in this entry of Israel was linked with magic and sorcery, attributed to a book with incantations for summoning demons. Okay, the Testament of Solomon, one of the oldest magical texts, narrates Solomon's use of a magical ring to command demons. Now, you can see on the right there, Solomon's seal has what we would refer
Stay
to.
woke.
It is the Star of David, right? The Star of David that we know actually as
Oh,
we
you
just
missed
saw,
it.
is actually
Be
the Seal of
rich.
Solomon,
The live
and it is
before
telling
this
you
when
that
we
King
talked
Solomon
about.
linked this with magic and sorcery,
Lord.
and the oldest magical text narrates Solomon's use of a magical ring
This
to
is
command
what's in the
demons.
White House.
With the ascent of Christianity, books
And
on
this is
magic
what our
were frowned
tax
upon, and the
money
spread of
go
magical
to,
practices
with
was often
Israel.
associated with paganism, okay? And then you'll see later on in this exact same Wikipedia entry, it says the magical revival of sorcery gained momentum in the 19th century, spearheaded by figures like Eliphas Levi. If you're a watcher of this show, you know that is the guy that created Baphomet, the transgendered deity, okay? Spearheaded by Eliphas Levi and Aleister Crowley, okay? person that I've been telling you, the establishment of NASA. So what we have here is a scenario where the occult has really just kept going on since biblical times, masquerading within and around different religions. So you know about Gnosticism, the Jewish Kabbalah, the Christian Kabbalah. We know that there are these people who believe in this magic. And that is why yesterday when I was telling you guys, and you guys were very reactive, and I'm so glad that you really engaged in this, about this unknown schism that took place. So relevant to understand this. And again, I learned this because I was interested in the perversion of Sigmund Freud, this unknown schism in which half of the world's Jewry converted or followed this guy who they believed to be the Messiah. His name was Sabbatai Zevi. Now, Sabbatai means Saturn, okay? And by the way, in case you guys didn't know, this is just another fun fact, there is a hexagon on Saturn. Okay.
Oh, that's that guy that came out earlier today, y'all. Hold on. That guy. That guy. Oh, yeah, it got really deep. Really kind of scary. And it really kind of pissed me off to know not only is Trump crazy and loopy, but that he is intentionally using taxpayers' money to do some awful things to kids with this pro-Israel crap. And they made deals with the devil big time. Yeah, it was horrible.
Okay, so you have this guy, bring him back up again, Sabbatai Zevi. And the story there, and I'm going to run you through this very quickly, is that this guy was born in what would be considered modern-day Turkey. Okay, he was Turkish, he was living in the Ottoman Empire. He declared himself to be a follower of the Kabbalah, the Lurianic Kabbalah, which was a very big deal at that time. He declared himself to be the Messiah, and half of the world's Jewry at that time believed that he was. People were traveling to Palestine to see him, to bring him gifts. And then what happened was they became disillusioned with him because he came across the Sultan, the Ottoman Sultan, and the Sultan was like, you better convert. You're either going to become a Muslim or I'm going to kill you. And so this guy freaked out. It's understood now, there are great Jewish historians among them, I think, who is probably the most well-read on this guy, and this guy's history is a man named Gershom Shalom. And again, I will link these books on my locals page. I didn't do it yesterday because I ran out of time, and I'm going to do it. Anyways, he basically said, yeah, you're going to either convert, you're going to become a Muslim today, or you will get killed. And so guess what he did? He converted, and he became Muslim, okay? So this guy who says he's the Messiah, who's worshiping the Kabbalah, then converts and suddenly says, oh, this is actually totally fine because I have fulfilled the law of the Torah. I have fulfilled the law of the Torah, and actually it is now called upon us to sin. And a form of that is apostasy, which is essentially you can convert in order to deceive people into different faiths. And I am proof of that. So even though I am converting, I'm becoming a Muslim, it doesn't actually matter because laws have no meaning. Again, the Torah has been filled. I am the Messiah.
Shamir, what do you mean I'm just waking up? I'm just waking up to what Trump and this fake Israel, because I don't entertain fake stuff. Kyrie, I mean, so what are you saying? That's not my norm. I don't entertain with people that are devil worshipers. I follow people who follow who are Christians. So no. And had they not been trying to manipulate us with Charlie Kirk, I on YouTube would not have got deep with it. Probably not. I don't entertain. I don't want to say low life stuff. I don't entertain people who play with the devil. And no, I was not aware that Trump, well, I did. I knew that, but I didn't know how deep he was with BB yet Yahoo guy. I'm not going. I'm trying to get this back on point. It just fell over. Hold on. Yeah, and I mean, to in that regards, Shamir Wolfman, why wasn't you talking about it? Did you not have a page set up talking about it? Why did you expect for other people to do it for you and then come back and have something sarcastic to say about it? Did you do your part? Okay, I think I'm back now. Yeah. Since we so just now waking up, why didn't you have a voice about it?
Messiah who's worshiping the Kabbalah then converts and suddenly says, oh, this is actually totally fine because I have fulfilled the law of the Torah. I have fulfilled the law of the Torah, and actually it is now called upon us to sin. And a form of that is apostasy, which is essentially you can convert in order to deceive people into different faiths. And I am proof of that. So even though I am converting, I'm becoming a Muslim, it doesn't actually matter because laws have no meaning. Again, the Torah has been filled. I am the Messiah, and here I am. And at that moment, okay, now no longer half the world's Jews were following him. They were
Okay, hold on. Let me go back.
you better convert. You're either going to become a Muslim or I'm going to kill you.
I'm just
this
trying
guy
to
freaked out.
understand. I'm not going to play with the devil. And, you know, after what we went through earlier today, watching that, it was just a little too overwhelming for me. And I'm not, yeah. LaQuisha, I'm not understanding the sarcasm because I don't know where it's coming from. I take LaQuisha, Laquita, Lavita. I'm not gonna play with the devil. Yeah. And if I mean, I don't know what you are, but I'm expecting for people to be a voice if they Christians. I mean, you know, I think we all have a responsibility as Christians. It's just not accepting his grace and do nothing. Just say, okay, okay. That's not your job. So you're not a Christian then, I guess. Okay. I can carry on because that's not a job of a Christian. That's not what the Bible tells us. So you must not be one. So let's go.
It's understood
You don't have to
now,
respond.
there
Just
are
leave
great
that there,
Jewish
okay?
historians, among them, I think, who is probably the most well-read on this guy, and this guy's history is a man named Gershom Shalom. And again, I will link these books on my locals page. I didn't do it yesterday because I ran out of time, and I'm going to do it. Anyways, he basically said, yeah, you're going to either convert, you're going to become a Muslim today, or you will get killed. And so guess what he did? He converted, and he became Muslim.
Hey, Kimberly.
Okay? So this guy who says he's the Messiah, who's worshiping the Kabbalah, then converts and suddenly says, oh, this is actually totally fine because I have fulfilled the law of the Torah. I have fulfilled the law of the Torah, and actually it is now called upon us to sin. And a form of that is apostasy, which is essentially you can convert in order to deceive people into different faiths. And I am proof of that. So even though I am converting, I'm becoming a Muslim, it doesn't actually matter because laws have no meaning. Again, the Torah has been filled. I am the Messiah, and here I am. And at that moment, okay, now no longer half the world's Jews were following him. They were going, okay, this guy seems like a fraud.
Okay, so let me say this. I mean, and it would be wise. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just assume. And I know that there are selfish Christians out there. I do know that. I do know it's people out there who is only concerned about their selves and their kids, I guess. I don't know. But that is not what God's word say. That is just so selfish. That to me is the heart of a person who just is on the receiving end of an amazing gift from God that none of us was worthy of having. So it's like an insult to be selfish and not go and spread the word. Go out to bring in so that others may receive the same gift that your trifling, selfish, self-centered, narcissistic, but did not deserve. Because anybody who have that mentality is all of those things that I just said. You still have a selfish heart condition. If you go just about everybody that God delivered and set free or delivered issue, he said go and tell. Go out. Church is not for the saved, it's for the unsaved. The saved is supposed to be out, not just at home, not just with they kids, they family, they mama, they sister at the soul food spread on Sundays. You're supposed to go out, bring in, so that they may have a chance to be saved. So I challenge us as the people, believers in Christ, because listen, there's a whole spiritual warfare going out. And if we're steady saying, oh, it's the end of time, or it's the end of the world is coming, reckon you may get your life fully in order, that God may be pleased, that you just wasn't sitting on your trifling ass and wasn't doing any work for the Lord. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like some of us need to get back in our word. Yeah. Let's go.
But he had the backing of the wealthiest people in historians,
Heart condition.
among them, I
Yeah.
think, who is probably the most well read on this guy, and this guy's history is a man
I
named
mean,
Gershom.
I kind of understand why the world, even Christians. I mean, I'm tripping. I'm finding out how deeply involved this Zionist stuff is. You know, where it's stemming from. It's still stemming from the creation of this created Israel in 1948. Rothschilds. But I'm understanding because a lot of the Christians and preachers and they still preaching that this is go and protect Israel. So they back it. BB not gonna sue me. And he this whole ring, this whole Epstein file, all of this stuff is because they are Zionists and they sacrifice, they is over sexual. That's why when we saw them against that wall and they was moving back and forth, they prayers consist of satanic stuff, sexual stuff. This, yeah, we got to do better. This is just crazy to me. And yeah, this is just crazy. It's a whole lot in them files that they don't want exposed.
Shalom. And again, I will link these books on my locals page. I didn't do it yesterday because I ran out of time, and I'm going to do it. Anyways, he basically said, yeah, you're going to either convert, you're going to become a Muslim today, or you will get killed. And so guess what he did? He converted, and he became Muslim. Okay? So this guy who says he's the Messiah, who's worshiping the Kabbalah, then converts and suddenly says, oh, this is actually totally fine because I have fulfilled the law of the Torah. I have fulfilled the law of the Torah, and actually it is now called upon us to sin. And a form of that is apostasy, which is essentially
it's
you can
now
convert
to do what did
in
she
order
say?
to see
Sin?
people into different. Is a man named Gershom Shalom, and again, I will link these books on my locals page. I didn't do it yesterday because I ran out of time, and I'm going to do it. Anyways, he basically said, yeah, you're going to either convert, you're going to become a Muslim today, or you will get killed. And so guess what he did? He converted, and he became Muslim. Okay? So this guy who says he's the Messiah, who's worshiping the Kabbalah, then converts and suddenly says, oh, this is actually totally fine because I have fulfilled the law of the Torah. I have fulfilled the law of the Torah, and actually it is now called upon us to sin.
Yep.
And a form of that is apostasy, which is essentially you can convert in order to deceive people into different faiths. And I am proof of that. So even though I am converting, I'm becoming a Muslim, it doesn't actually matter because laws have no meaning. Again, the Torah has been filled. I am the Messiah, and here I am. And at that moment, okay, now no longer half the world's Jews were following him. They were going, okay, this guy seems like a fraud. But he had the backing of the wealthiest people in the world. Okay, so his influence never went away. This became known as Sabbatianism, and what these Kabbalists believed was that yes, they would inherit the earth through deception, through deceptive means. So what became born was this group of Kabbalists who then.
Did y'all just hear that? Did y'all just hear that? I mean, because she breaking it down a little.
Into Islam, they became.
Hold on.
So it's actually totally fine because I have fulfilled the law of the Torah. I have fulfilled the law of the Torah, and actually it is now called upon us to sin. And a form of that is apostasy, which is essentially you can convert in order to deceive people into different faiths. And I am proof of that. So even though I am converting, I'm becoming a Muslim, it doesn't actually matter because laws have no meaning. Again, the Torah has been filled. I am the Messiah, and here I am. And at that moment, okay, now no longer half the world's Jews were following him. They were going, okay, this guy seems like a fraud. But he had the backing of the wealthiest people in the world. Okay, so his influence never went away. This became known as Sabbatianism, and what these Kabbalists believed was that yes, they would inherit the earth through deception, through deceptive means. So what became born was this group of Kabbalists who then made their way into Islam. They became known, and my pronunciation might be wrong here because I've only read about this, as Donmeh, Donmeh. And I want to tell you guys that these people still exist today. So I'm going to show you this article in the Times of Israel where they're speaking about the history of Sabbatai Zevi, a savant in Jewish texts whose erratic behavior fits the symptoms of a bipolar personality disorder. This, by the way, is what most people believe today when they look at this moment in Jewish history, that actually he was like a bipolar, schizophrenic, crazy person. And at that time, because of what was going on, people wanted to believe he was the Messiah and then realized that maybe he was a crazy person. And it says in that same article, you can pull that back up, Sabbatai Ziva's legacy has had a long-lasting effect on the region as a whole. This is referring to modern Turkey, including the Danme of Turkey, a society of crypto Jews who for centuries presented themselves as Muslims, but continued to consider themselves Jewish, with Sabbatai as their prophet. Now, I would say that they consider themselves to be Kabbalist, and a lot of these individuals, probably the most notable among them, there is evidence, and this is going to be extremely controversial, but I will link to you this evidence, that Ataturk was Danme. Ataturk came from a region where there was a strong Sabbatean stronghold, and there was an Israeli historian, an Israeli individual who wrote a book, which has now been discontinued, who said, yeah, I met him before he became Ataturk, and yeah, he was Jewish. I met him in a hotel, and he was Jewish. And again, I'm going to link that for you. The person, just so I can give you the name, because I'm sure people are going to go crazy for me saying that. This was published in Forward magazine. It's a Jewish publication in New York back in 1994.
Man, these people are...
An out-of-print Hebrew autobiography by Itamar ben Avi, the son of Eliezer ben Yehuda, the leading promoter of the revival of spoken Hebrew in the late 19th century
hold on.
Palestine. Ben
I've
Avi,
heard that before.
the first child.
Yehuda. Hey, it's not, and not a Christian religion. What is not a Christian religion? This stuff she talking about. Oh no, sure ain't. No, they devil worshippers. They worship that big old giant goat head thing that they sacrifice their kids and that type of stuff. Drink the blood and then make McDonald's and Wendy's McDonald's and Burger King burgers out of them now. I'm laughing, but that's what they said. Baby. Oh, McDonald's, Burger King, and I saw Wendy's the other day. They just playing in our face, taking our money. If they ain't taking our money one way, they taking it another. They done planted all of this stuff in the food. They have you craving this type of crazy stuff, and then they got all them missing kids, and your president using them as immigrants and working them out in the field and tricking folk. It's just a whole bunch of trickery going on. And the Supreme Court is giving him permission and all of the, well, they're coming down on him now, but giving him permission to deport U.S. citizen. Hell, this is just some of the craziest stuff. But you're right, Be Rich. This is not about Christianity. They are straight up devil worshippers. Big time. And they are totally opposite. What does it say? Where we are to not sin, they are to sin. And if they not hustling, bustling, trafficking, orgy, all of that stuff that's going on, then they're not welcome. Okay. Y'all better stay woke. Y'all better start asking y'all friends, what do they believe in? I blame Eliza and Ben for that. Eliza and Ben. Who is that, James? You blame who?
The person, just so I can give you the name, because I'm sure people are going to go crazy for me saying that.
Yeah, I thought
this was published in Forward magazine. It's a Jewish publication in New York back in 1994. An
Oh,
out-of-print Hebrew Sabbatai Ziva's legacy has had a long-lasting effect on the region as a whole. This is referring to modern Turkey, including the Donme of Turkey, a society of crypto Jews who for centuries presented themselves as
crypto. Y'all
Muslims,
keep hearing that
but
crypto. Y'all
continued to
see that?
consider
Y'all
themselves
president let him
Jewish,
out.
with Sabbatai as their prophet. Now, I would say that they consider themselves to be Kabbalist, and a lot of these individuals, probably the most notable
I blame y'all
among
for
them,
not hitting the like
there
button.
is evidence, and this is going to be extremely controversial, but I will link to you this evidence, that
Attitude.
was Donme. Ataturk came from a region where there was a strong Sabbatean stronghold, and there was an Israeli historian, I'm sorry, an Israeli individual who wrote a book, which has now been discontinued, who said, yeah, I met him before he became Ataturk, and
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
yeah, he was Jewish. I met him in a hotel, and he was Jewish.
Ah!
And again, I'm going to link that for
Miss
you.
Tom, you said
The
she
person, just so I
did.
can give you the name, because I'm
I
sure
didn't hear
people are
it.
going to go crazy for me saying that. This was published in Forward magazine. It's a Jewish publication in New York back in 1994. An out-of-print Hebrew autobiography by Itamar ben Avi, the son of Eliezer ben Yehuda, the leading promoter of the
Oh, that's
revival of
what
spoken
Yahuda.
Hebrew in the late 19th century.
Okay, Aliza. Okay. Now, I don't know if y'all venture into other sectors. I don't know, but I have heard of Yahuda. And Queen Domain play with that spirit. Baby. See. So that, yeah. Baby. See. I be sometimes thinking things just be for entertainment purposes only. And she be tapping into that Yahuda. And she be practicing playing on YouTube like she man, Janet, don't you be in the Mo 3 sector? Queen Domain. She don't want to be Queen Domain no more. But I saw her do some type of seance. Spiritualism isn't the one to play with. Oh well, I assume I don't know. I don't know her, and you know I've heard her say that she can cast and uh transportal or transport and she she went from Queen Domain to Yahuda, and she started talking like a dude. She started talking real heavy, and she started trying to hit on women. But have you heard her do that called Yahuda? Yeah, see, I mean, you know, and I know my spirit. Bible say, try spirit by the spirit. And this is why some of them people I just cannot process. I can't. I can't. Because they do that black magic stuff. And we don't think alike. And this is why I say, if you talking about I don't believe in none of that y'all Jesus, y'all God, and all that type of stuff, well, what do you believe in? Because if you don't believe in God, you know you didn't create yourself. So how the hell you get here? Yeah, so that means if you don't believe in God the Father, you believe in the devil and fire. And that's just the bottom line. But y'all be entertaining these people. Like, Lord. Oh, anyway, let me go. Baby, because I saw one of them content creators lose her mind, turned on her friends to get that lady on her platform, and she played with the devil. Because she transitioned into Yahuda, and she grabbed her nuts and sat in the corner and was popping on people's butts and smoking a cigarette. And I said, Lord, this must be a devil. I mean, Is Yahuda married? Cause why she in here flirting? I mean, and I thought she just transitioned into this man because she may be bisexual or something. Hell, and she was trying to come up on some women. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, it was Yahuda. So when she said that, I recognized that name. Because she transformed into a woman. And she brought on his spirit. And he started talking it to folk crazy and heavy voiced. I mean, her whole voice changed. I said, Lord, y'all better stop playing with the devil. Let's listen.
That this was published in Forward magazine. It's a Jewish publication in New York back in 1994.
Queen Domain?
An out-of-print Hebrew autobiography by Itamar ben Avi, the son of Eliezer ben Yehuda, the leading promoter of the revival of spoken Hebrew.
Do y'all know who Mo 3 is? Y'all know about the Mo 3 case? Do y'all know about the Mo 3, the rapper case? If not, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's what's happening. What are y'all talking about? What? It happened on YouTube. She is on YouTube. What? What are y'all talking about? It happened on YouTube. She was the person. She's actively a part in the Mo 3 case.
In the late 19th century,
I don't know why y'all. It happened on YouTube.
The first child to
and
raised
have to listen. Let's just be honest. A lot of the people that y'all entertain on YouTube are into that stuff. A lot of them. Hey, Cynthia.
Since ancient times, and later a Hebrew journalist and newspaper publisher,
They say,
writes in his book
I'm out.
of walking
Okay.
into the Kamenetz Hotel in Jerusalem one autumn night in 1911 and being asked by its proprietor, do you see that Turkish officer sitting there in the corner, the one with the bottle of Iraq? Yes, he's one of the most important officers in the Turkish army. It goes on, and it talks about how he looked at him and thought it was weird that soon-to-be Ataturk had piercing green eyes, and then Ataturk intimated to him that, he was Danme, that actually he...
It bothered us too that your employees weren't taking full advantage of their retirement plans, so Vanguard created something to give them a...
was not at all actually a Muslim. So that's obviously extremely controversial. Again, I will link this. It is a matter of debate, but the point is that these people do exist, and to think about that
Yes,
on a
they
larger
do.
scale of people who are falsely converting to other faiths and then causing wars or participating in wars and upheavals is a very scary, not a thought, an understanding.
It's a reality.
Okay? That is an understanding. I don't want to say it's a thought. I just think this happened. Now, I've read this, and the implications there are quite severe. Quite severe. So, like I said, I can show you how all...
Absolutely. And whoever that was telling us that we late to the party, yeah, because we don't entertain this type of stuff. And for the most part, people wouldn't, know that this was going on, just like we would not think that, we could say, yeah, we know our president is crooked and he a poor businessman and you can't believe nothing he say, but, he a little freaky and, okay, his best friend, okay, so he's sick, it's a group of them that's sick, and they tie into the industry, and they have this free for all. But all of this other stuff, it is extremely overwhelming. It's extremely overwhelming. I would have couldn't have imagined that all of this is going on and for years. And I don't know what Trump was thinking. If he knew all of this was going on, he knew that he was a part of a social, demonic, predatorial, sacrificial, why would you even bring it up? And because I guess he thought for real that he could bring it up, win, and it would go away. That's because this crap is deep. And I know that he is hoping that it don't come out, but it feels like he thought maybe, I don't know, that more people knew about what was going on the red side than really knew, because it's not going away. And nothing that he can say is going to make it go away. It don't matter if he's creating wars, if he's doing this stuff on purpose, and people are wanting to leave. I can see why Charlie Kirk wanted to leave the more he found out the truth. Yeah, no, dog, I don't want to go to Israel. No, I knew I didn't feel right, but I'm still for the cause. And no, I can see that. And I can see, yes, he sold his soul. He sold his soul. Absolutely. This is awful. I don't know why he would have even said anything. Yeah, he know everybody who was involved in the presidency. Yes, he knows. He in the the Bushes. What's his name? Bill Clinton, all of them. So many rich people have sold. Yeah, yeah. I'm a little naive.
Well,
Let me
our
tell you
faiths
the
have been
truth.
infiltrated, and I say this: the Jewish faith, the Christian
Y'all please
faith,
double tap. Y'all
and
screen.
of course
Hit the
the
like
Muslim
button.
faith has been infiltrated by people with the explicit aim, as Sabbatai Zevi had, of taking over the world. One of the most
There we go.
important
There she
officers
go.
in the Turkish army,
There we go. She
and
finna,
there was an Israeli.
she finna say, y'all, I need for y'all to double tap the face of y'all screen. Please get the likes up. She just about to say it. And it's all about, and and I wonder why somebody I was very close to, I used to have someone's, oh, man, I don't know. And he used to always talk about the New World Order, and that was like in the 90s. The 90s. And it's like, well, how did he know about it? Y'all, come on, double tap the face of y'all screen.
Historian, I'm sorry, an Israeli
And he talked about the book of the
who wrote a
Maccabees,
book which has
too.
now been discontinued, who said, yeah, I met him before he became Ataturk, and yeah, he was Jewish. I met him in a hotel, and he was Jewish. And again, I'm going to link that for you. The person, just so I can give you the
I
name,
was
because I'm
shocked
sure people are
when
going to go
it came
crazy
out
for me
about the
saying
Clintons.
that. This was published in Forward magazine. It's a Jewish publication in New York back in 1994.
Let me tell y'all what I shocked. I was shocked more about Chelsea was in the book as well. Now, I was shocked to see Chelsea named there. But I was just shocked kind of to hear the other day that old Daddy Bush, that old Bush was actively involved in the assassination of JFK. So when Trump brought up JFK and Epstein and MLK, I know they all are tied to the CIA and the intelligence, but I didn't. Yeah, they say he was actively a part of taking out JFK. And I said, wow. So I see why they're saying that JFK assassination is similar to Charlie Kirk's assassination because JFK could not be bought, and he was not buying into their cult. And once Charlie Kirk blinders was taken off, he didn't want to go to it. He was trying to distance himself from not gonna sue me, Netanyahu. Because I really believe if he would have went, he may not would have made it back. Because I believe in my heart that once they have invited you and brought you in deep and allowed you to see what they have going on. I've said this from the beginning of Mo3 and Dolph. Not knowing that how big this underground crap really is. I knew it's like once they have brought you in far enough to, and you know what's going on, and then you back out and say, nah, I don't want to be a part of that, you got to go. When you deny them, when they show you, explain to you, kind of bring you in, you come in up, and then you say, nah, I'm going to pass on that. And they can't blackmail you. They can't say, what he say all the time? I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to die because you make your own millions and you don't need them. You got to go. Absolutely be rich. And I'm going to tell you, I have said this from the beginning. People were saying I was crazy. I will admit I did not know how deep this crap was. But I always knew that they were independent. And they didn't need the industry to make millions. And that there were other people involved, even with their issues in the streets, there were higher ups that gave a green light for their rejection. And I always knew that it was tied to human trafficking. I didn't know about the key. I didn't know about all of that. My mind didn't go that deep off into it. It went deep enough, but not this big. I knew it was going to be big. I knew it was full circle. I knew that it was going to be bigger than imagined. I knew in my spirit that Donald Trump was involved, and at that time he wasn't president, I don't think. He had just left the presidency. Your mind was protecting itself. Yeah. I didn't know how deep it was, and I didn't know all of this type of stuff was connected to it. But I did know Donald Trump was involved because he is the closest black people that he has accepted are rappers in the ATL. Yep.
An out-of-print Hebrew autobiography by Itamar ben Avi, the son of Eliezer ben Yehuda, the leading promoter of the revival of spoken Hebrew in the late 19th century Palestine. Ben Avi, the first child to be raised in Hebrew since ancient times and later a Hebrew journalist and newspaper publisher, writes in his book of walking into the Kamenetz Hotel in Jerusalem one autumn night in 1911 and being asked by its proprietor, "Do you see that Turkish officer sitting there in the corner, the one with the bottle of Iraq?" Yes, he's one of the most important officers in the Turkish army. It goes on, and it talks about how he looked at him and thought it was weird that
you're right,
Janet. Ataturk had piercing green eyes, and then Ataturk intimated to him that he was Donmei, that actually he was not at all actually Muslim. So that's obviously extremely controversial. Again, I will link this. It is a matter of debate, but the point is that these people do exist, and to think about that in a larger scale of people who are falsely converting to other faiths and then causing wars or participating in wars and upheavals is a very scary, not a thought, an understanding. Okay, that is an understanding. I don't want to say it's a thought. I just think this happened. No, I've read this, and the implications there are quite severe. Quite severe. So, like I said, I can show you how all of our faiths have been infiltrated, and I say this, the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, and of course the Muslim faith has been infiltrated by people with the explicit aim, as Sabbatai Zevi had, of taking over the world, that through sin they would be redeemed, that they had to commit sins. It's a form of Gnosticism. The more that you sin, the more egregious your sin, we will inherit the earth. Now I'm gonna take a quick pause right here because I wanna thank.
Yep, that's what we learned today, didn't we, Janet? That's what we learned today. It was so shocking that our taxpayer money is tied to a cult where they sin. The more they sin, the more they inherit the earth. I'm just shocked. Because I'm up here saying, okay, this is not about two brothers. We need to stop that, Christians. This is not about two brothers. No, this is about good and evil. This is spiritual warfare. Yeah, it's deeper. We need to stop saying that Israel was not created in 1948. The biblical stop. This is true spiritual warfare. We are Christ came for redemption of sin, and then they believe the more evil they do, this is what we're up against. This is what's in the White House. This is what Israel first. This is why they don't want anybody to really talk against Israel, because the devil don't want to be exposed. He's a deceiver. So they are protecting the devil at all costs. Voting for Trump is voting for the devil. And stop attaching God and Christ and revelation and the stop attaching that, because they have a whole system set up to deceive, steal, molest, sacrifice, and the more they do it, the more they inherit the earth. What did Janet say? Yes, this is bigger than, it's bigger than food stamps. You know, and I hate to say this, y'all. Are y'all ready? Hold your wig. Hold your wig. It's bigger than the Epstein files. It's bigger than the Epstein files. So now here I go. I done went from he protecting him, trying to figure out who this clown is protecting. Hell, he protecting the devil. He protecting their code. Because this is what they do. Let me see, but I subscribe to spirituality in different guys, but I believe in one creator. I don't. I only believe in the one true living God. I know that there are people worship it just like they worship that big old thing with horns. I don't want nothing that look like it can walk and talk and have big old horns coming out their head. I no, no.
One of our sponsors. It's a great one to come right on time, obviously, because as we're talking, some poor
I just
Mountain Performance TV is the hardest working software in television. Get started today at mountain.com.
people. I told you Jacob Frank, who came about 100 years later. In fact, it is an actuality. There's no question that what came. Love to know what you guys are thinking right now. Like, what are you thinking as we are getting deeper into understanding that it is entirely plausible? In fact, it is an actuality. There's no question that what came after Sabbatai Zebai. So these Kabbalists believe that through these demonic chants, it became Jacob Frank. What came in the next century was Aleister Crowley. Again, always backed by the wealthy.
Let me ask you,
people.
Sam, if you don't mind. So when you have to go, when your name is called and you leave physically with your God or gods, where do you go? Do you just die and that's just it? Do you go someplace else? Do y'all believe in heaven and hell? I mean, where do you go? I mean, I know I don't want to disrespect anyone's religion. I know Buddhism is the round, bald headed, and it, I don't know about them. I'm just trying to understand because I've seen some people on YouTube talk about they don't believe in God, and they talk about black magic and reading people's cards and all that type of stuff. And I often wonder, well, when you leave with all this sin and you don't have no regards of right and wrong, this is why the world is the way it is, because spiritually a lot of people are not held accountable spiritually, so they just feel like they can do and say whatever they want to. So I'm just curious what happens, because I feel like even if you don't believe in everything in the Bible, and yes, there are missing books of the Bible on purpose, but the foundation is there. And I believe he died for the remission of sin so that we may have eternal life. So if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, where do you go in the end? Because there you don't have remission of sin. So I'm just curious. It's in the Bible. Well, and I don't know nothing about the Israelites. Well, I done played movies. I mean, not movies. We done did reactions on it, and we watched it. And it let you know that the Israelites are the chosen. Agreed. Now, Tommy. Agreed, Janet. But the timing shows how evil he really is. I done missed a lot of what y'all talking about. So I was trying to say, people that believe in devil worship will do anything to a child. Absolutely. You're right, Sam. So if that would hurt children, they would hurt anything. And that's why he don't care about the victims on the Epstein. They don't care nothing about none of that. They don't care nothing about the kids who are hungry. I don't care nothing about none of that. I don't care about none of that.
In the world, okay? These were not like some poor people. I told you Jacob Frank, who came about 100 years later, was given a castle, okay? He was given a castle, and his family was ennobled. Jacob Frank was ennobled because, as I told you, he
Hey,
had an
Jody.
affair with Empress Maria Therese. Okay? And after that affair, again, they believed in sexual rituals. These were the
Yep.
sacraments. They believed.
Oh, she talking
Jacob
about that
Frank
wow.
believed in incest. He believed.
Who?
.com.
Oh, Lord, I'm talking and trying to read the comments. Who she talking about?
Now,
When they up against that
I guess
wall?
every town has a flavor all its
Yeah, I
own.
remember when I realized that.
Slash Candace. So yeah, I would really love to know what you guys are thinking right now. Like, what are you thinking as we are getting deeper into understanding that it is entirely plausible. In fact, it is an actuality. There's no question that what came after Sabbatai Zebai, so these Kabbalists believe that through these demonic chants, it became Jacob Frank. What came in the next century was Aleister Crowley. Again, always backed by the wealthiest people in the world, okay? These were not like some poor people. I told you Jacob Frank, who came about 100 years later, was given a castle, okay? He was given a castle, and his family was ennobled. Jacob Frank was ennobled because, as I told you, he had an affair with Empress Maria Therese, okay? And after that affair, again, they believed in sexual rituals. These were the sacraments. They believed, Jacob Frank believed in incest. He believed in sexual rituals. This is the reason why the Jewish community was at war with one another. And it is a fact that when he got kicked out of Poland the first time after having this bizarre sexual ritual, and a Talmudic rabbi kicked him out, they actually had rabbinical trials over this. This history is just right in your face. Rabbinical trials being like, this man is demented. Get him out of here. But what he did to protect himself and to protect his Frankist followers was he made a plea. He made a plea to the bishop at that time and said, hey, we'll convert to the Catholic faith. Our religion's not at war with one another. And not only that, but I will tell you, and he made this allegation, that the Talmudists are killing Christians. Everything you suspected is true. They are killing Christians. It's a part of a blood ritual that they're doing. So you can imagine this was going on right now, where you had the Jewish community warring with one another. And then what was the result of this was something which I so deeply regret for the Catholic faith, that bishop at that time allowed these false conversions, sided with Jacob Frank at that time, because he's thinking, oh, well, if you're going to throw this guy under the bus, you're going to throw the Talmudists under the bus. And what then happened was this mass burning of the Talmud that took place in Poland, right? Fine. This is what this guy said. He's like, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. You can convert. And of course, they then later got kicked out of the Catholic faith, but by then you see this apostasy continually happening, where they just appear amongst other religions, and they are explicitly saying to people, convert and hide yourself, convert, pretend that you worship these faiths, but privately you are going to.
I mean, whether he told on, I just don't think he's loyal to anybody. He's loyal to the here and now. It's just like he could make a deal with not gonna sue me, and he could make a deal with Putin, and whoever offer him something that the other one, just the same way he did Epstein. He ain't loyal to none of it. He not even loyal to religion. Okay? So it's like, no, okay, so who got what? What you got? What you bring to the table? And that's just kind of how I see him. But he still is a part of the more I sin, the more I gain. So that's why when he was on that plane and he said, remember, I just don't think it's nothing I can do to make it into heaven. Now, I know at that time when he said that, I said, yeah, because you've sold your soul to the devil. Or you've done so much that you just, you know. That's why he said, I know I can't make it into heaven. Well, yeah, because y'all are devil worshippers. Yes. He said, I'm not Christian, but we need your vote. You got to vote. This will be your last time voting. I'm not Christian. Yeah. And then it wasn't what 2 weeks ago he stood up on the airplane and said, "Well, I don't think it's anything I can do to make it into heaven." Yeah. So, although he lies, he was telling the truth. They devil
Worship
worshipers.
the Zohar. You are going to worship the Kabbalah. You have to hide who you actually are. And in that book that I
Yes.
was telling you about, that was written by David Baker.
Yes, Jody. Yes. Please don't make me go and find it. Please don't make me find it. He was begging for the Christians to vote. He said that we had to vote. We had to vote. I know where it's at. I just have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to find it. But baby, let me finish her off. Yes.
Again,
He said it. Brooke, Be Rich, you wasn't there? Oh, wow. Let me find it. Let me find it. Okay, let me get this other tablet. Oh, yes. He said, Christians, you got to go out and vote. You got to vote. We need the Christian vote. Yeah. He was crying out to the Christians to vote. And he said, this would be the last time that you'll have to vote. He said, July the 27th. Oh, that's not the date. That's when I played it, or Mrs. Thomas, is that when I played it? Oh, no, I did that. What's July the 2nd? I'm trying to see. Hold on. I have played that a couple of times. Hold on. Oh, here you go, right here.
Christians, get out and vote.
Hold on.
This time.
Hold on for to make it big so y'all can see. Can't say it ain't him. Oh, are we here? Now what is Sam saying? Not being Christian doesn't mean a person is evil. It's time for people to use common sense. Believe people when they show you who they are, rich or poor. People look over evil done by the rich. Yeah, I don't know why I don't believe anything anymore unless I see it. Everyone is lying. Okay. Well, here you go. Right here. You ready? And he had Turning Point. So he did this at Turning Point.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fixed. Christians, get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't
It'll
have
be
to vote
fixed.
anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out.
Did you hear him? Did you hear him say, I'm not Christian? He put his hand on his chest. Who asked me? Who was that asked me? Who was that? Marquell, he was on Turning Point platform. No, it's okay. I believe you. Jody, y'all see it? Did you see him put his hand on his chest and say, I'm not Christian?
Out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have Christians. I'm not Christian.
What'd he say? I'm not Christian. You see it? Even closed caption called it. I'm not Christian.
It'll be fixed. It'll be fine.
It'll be fixed. It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. This is the last time. You won't have to vote. Okay?
It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again.
What y'all think? And this was at Turning Point Action. So he has a whole plan. He has a whole plan. Not wanting to leave, saying he, the redoing the White House, This was Turning Point. West Palm Beach, Florida, July 26th.
Vote just this time.
Just this time.
Get out. Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again.
And so, even what he said, he didn't even have to even say he was a Christian. He didn't even have to say that. But he did. Why? He didn't even have to say that. But he said it. It came out. Just like he didn't say it'll be fixed. We'll be fine. But you got to get out and vote. This be your last time.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what?
You won't have to do it anymore. Yeah.
It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again.
Okay? Baby. If that ain't it, thank you for finding it real quick. So I ain't have to go through my, Okay, let me get back to old girl and we can finish up, baby. Y'all believe me now? It's cold-blooded, ain't it? So it was fixed from, I don't know. I didn't know that was Turning Point. I didn't either. Until, no, I didn't. That was on the wall. And Kirk was his, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. That was his Christian voice. That was his Christian voice. And that's why when you listen to Candace last night, even when she was talking to Norman, she really believed that they were her friends. They both really believed that they believed in their cause until they saw the truth, or until they started digging deeper into it and started saying, whoa, y'all playing with, oh, for real? Like, wait, what he mean by that? In 4 years you won't have, because he don't plan on leaving. It'll be fixed. He don't plan on leaving. They already have an agenda set up. I keep telling y'all, he has plans on pushing a button and being gone somewhere else in a foreign country. New World Order. It's a heist. So the more we dig into it, the more we are finding out. Like today, we learned something about they have to do more harm. They have to sin more. And their end goal is to inherit the land. So they are trying, I'm gonna say it again, they are controlling the narrative of the Bible. They are switching it up. So at the end of the Bible, when it says, do not alter, don't add or take away, do not alter the word. They are altering the word. They are writing a different script. And this is how they say the world is going to end. They feel like they're in control. So what they've done was named it Israel to confuse the Christians into believing in their cause. So that means the devil is being deceptive. So that's why when it first came on, the guy was saying it's just blowing his mind to hear Christians backing Israel and supporting Israel by referencing what the Bible said about Israel. Well, if the Bible is talking about Israel, he's talking about Jacob, right? And he named him Israel. And we can't say this is about him and his brother Ezra. I can't, whatever his brother's name is. You can't say it's about that beef, because when his brother came to him, he thought that it was going to be a war, right? And that's when he surrendered unto God, and God changed his name from Jacob to Israel. And his brother forgave him. He embraced him. So all of that is about two brothers? No, it's not. So they altered it to make it seem like this is why we're doing this and that. In essence, they are doing it to inherit the earth. Watch him tell a story about a snake. Who gonna tell a story about a snake?
He put the pieces together
Who?
and was able to
Who
determine
you
that
talking
Sigmund
about,
Freud was one.
Sam? Jody said cold for real, for real. Yeah. It's cold for real, for real. And it's like every day God is revealing more and more to us about what's really going on. It's not, yeah, they've been lying. And it's so messed up. That's why now it's like, y'all still saying about brothers. I'm
One
looking
such
at y'all
globalist.
crazy.
So on his face, they presented himself as like, I'm a Galician Jew, which therefore would imply that I follow the Torah. No, they didn't follow the Torah. Thought that law had been fulfilled and that their new job was to sin in order to inherit the earth, that there was some magic to the idea of sinning. And Jacob Frank said this to them. He's like, I have come here to cast you to your lowest low so that we may raise, and we will inherit the earth through deception. And so I have been very honest with the fact that a huge problem that I have with
Experience the irresistible crunch of our golden fish crisps, more addictive than chips or spicy corn snacks. Made from wild
So now
Alaskan...
I also
just a
understand.
lot that I have learned is that there was this very quick, or at least I've seen historically speaking, all throughout American history, and like I said, this adoption of the, now if you're a Catholic, you might call this the Star of Rembrandt. If you're Jewish, you might call this the Star of David, but it is explicitly acknowledged as coming from Solomon's seal. A source, something, this sign of sorcery, as being adopted as the symbol for the Zionist cause. And I have seen that when you look into the individuals who are definitively Frankist, who practice, like I said, in your own time, research Louis Brandeis. He came from a family of Frankists. It is explicit. You can find this everywhere. This cannot be contested. No one can tell you no. It's not a conspiracy theory. This man, okay, was a Frankist. He kept a photo of a portrait of Ava Frank, the unholy virgin, the non-virgin Ava Frank, who was considered a messiah, okay, the first female messiah to the mystics, on his desk. This man made it to the top of our government. He also married into a Frankist family. So this faith made it to America. And when you start to research these people, they committed a lot of their time to the Zionist cause. And that makes me uncomfortable. That makes me uncomfortable. And I am willing to say that. I am willing to have a discussion with people who think that it doesn't matter. I mean, and like I'm saying, I'm just telling you one of the families. There's a ton of these families. And their push and their dedication to the Zionist cause makes me uncomfortable given the history that I know.
Right.
I believe that me having this conversation, or having the courage to have this conversation, like I had that behind the scenes conversation on Twitter with David, will actually open up for the first time in a long time an alliance between Christian and Jews needing to root out these sinister satanic elements that are happening right now on the world stage. I don't believe that this is our faith. I believe that there is a fringe cult that is operating, that they are satanic. And I wonder if we are dealing with people who can trace their history, who now practice as one of their deceptive measures, routinely changing their names, reappearing somewhere else, inspiring these wars, taking, stealing, the same corruption. I wonder if they can trace their lineage all the way back to the Canaanites. And they at first infiltrated the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, and then the Christian faith. Maybe the Jewish and Christian faith around the same time based on what I've read. But these are very important discussions for us to be having if we are actually going to save things. We have to recognize that these people that worship Baphomet, and
Sam, I remember
deity, that the Kabbalah.
How do you give
I remember that.
the best chance to succeed in 2026?
Yeah, I remember that.
If you've written a book and you're thinking about
This Lurianic Kabbalah recognizes this, and what they are trying to do through deception is to cast a spell on society, to bring everybody into their consciousness. That is what is explicitly their aims, by the way. I'm not making this up as I go along. This is the explicit aims of the Frankist cult. It's time for the world to wake up to this and to begin tracing their genealogy.
Yeah, but
tracking
Markel,
these
he tried to make it
lineages,
seem like it
and
was voter
understanding
fraud on
what
him. And
on earth is happening. 'Cause I think what's happening is actually Satan. I do also want to shout out another one of my show sponsors that have the courage to allow me to have these conversations, and they recognize that my aim is to just give an opportunity to the entire world to better themselves, better their families, especially now during these tremendously awful economic times.
Yep. So I commend her for knowing how deep this crap goes, and knowing that she puts herself and her family in danger, putting the truth out there. Um, I mean, cause she could have a selfish spirit, just like whoever that person was earlier that was saying, "Oh no, I got mine." But she knows how deep it is. I mean, she's dug deeper into it than the ones who were never accepted. Remember, she was just a token. We found out yesterday they accepted her because she spoke against Black Lives Matter. Then at that point, she was going to be the black Candace with, to spray him down. Brrr, Charlie was the Christian. And once they started coming into the truth, yeah. You're welcome, Sam. Yeah, I care about humanity. Yeah, I think it's very important that we know. I think it's very important that we know. And I have to be honest, that is the Christ in me. That's the Christ in me. And outside of that, I don't care anything about red, blue, left, right. I care about the people. And no, I don't want no one to be taken advantage of. I don't want no one to be sacrificed. I don't know any of y'all personally. But if you put in there that someone had done some of the stuff to anybody, a child was sacrificed or anything. Now when I see a child missing or a little boy, my heart just drops. It's like, oh my God, Lord, please let them find runaways. It's just that needs to stop immediately, because now we're finding out that it's not just the white van crazy. I mean, you have a whole political. It's just huge. It's just way too big. Charlie saw something. Absolutely. And because his voice reached more people than her voice, he knew too much. He knew too much. He was cool with the Trump boys. I mean, he knew too much. That is my hope too, Sam. I mean, because I'm not going to stop wanting caring and wanting safety for anybody based on their color. And I would hope the same. I would hope the same. So all I can do is pray that we can all. That's why it says that if my people that are called by my name, we got to come. Oh, it's going to be delivered. Okay, y'all, I got to go. I'll be back a little later. I have a video set up. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Hi. So the youth of Israel couldn't to lose another generation. Yeah, it's deep, y'all. It's just deep. I commend them for pumping their brakes when they saw whatever it was that they saw. Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe, y'all. This is how we have been. We've been pretty deep. We go in. I want us to be informed. I don't want none of us to get caught off guard. And Lord in heaven knows, I don't want to be able to say I knew it and just sat on it. No, I'm gonna share it. We gonna learn together. We are going to learn together. We're gonna learn together. Nobody left behind. If I know it, you gonna know it. Now what you do with it, I don't have no control over it. But if I know it, you gonna know it. Because I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it. Okay? I'm gonna tell it. I don't want us to be caught off guard. I don't want us to make the same mistake. He should have never been in office. But there was a reason why he was chosen with those 34 felonies. Because he was paid for on purpose. Y'all, I'll be back. I'll be back.